Hello and welcome to PLANNERCRAFT. Today we're going to be doing some fashion illustration, and I've already put up online a template that you can download and use for free, and you can print that out on Bristol board or watercolour paper. And I printed mine using a laser printer on Bristol board, but if you're using inkjet, just bear in mind that if you do some of the watercolour effects, the colour will bleed slightly. I would advise, certainly if you're printing this on an inkjet, to print it in colour. So rather than getting a black shadow around the outside, you'll actually just pick up a little bit of the orangey colour. And we'll get ready to begin. So I'm using a propelling pencil. It doesn't have to be an expensive one, but I just want to start roughing out my design. So I'm just going to begin by working out roughly what I want to do with my layout. What theme should we go for today? I'm going to go for a vesty top and some trousers on this one. So bear in mind where the hips are, angles, and how the top would naturally sit on the body. And then you want to look at that and think, well, hang on, it would have a wrinkle somewhere around here because she's leaning over. So we can start sketching little bits of detail. And then you want to think about, is she wearing a t-shirt? So does it have sleeves? How does the sleeve set in to the top? Or if you're just going to go for a little strappy vest. Either way, this arm's going to sit in front of this body but here, so you're going to have an outline there. And then if we're doing a vesty top, you could do a curve around there. Likewise, that could be your join in for your sleeve. So I think I'm going to give a little sleeve in. It's not a straight line, it's a curved line because obviously it's going around an rounded object. And then you want to look at the distance between here and here, and we're over here. But obviously you've got foreshortening happening because we're looking at the shoulder closer. So you're going to want to take it up a little bit. I do have DVR enabled, so if at any point you want to pause, you can do.
DVR?
Yeah, so it's like a digital video recorder, so you can pause it and then press play when you're ready to carry on with the next step.
You did that.
I have it on most of my streams. So I'm just going to set it into the neck here. And when it goes around the back of the neck, you get a little bit of a collar, naturally. Drawing on it. And then we'll work out from here how this neckline's going to work. So you could go for a nice round neck or you could go for a V-neck. Either way, you want to think about the centre body. So if we did a dotted line up, so you can see roughly where our centre line is. That just helps us then make sure that our brown neck or our V-neck sits correctly in this place. If you do have any questions at any point, don't forget to pop them in the box. And I'm going to put the top over the top of the trousers. So there's going to be a little lip here. Same on this side. And with the template, I've left a blank area here. That's so that you can decide if you're going to put hands in front or behind, which bit of the body you want to focus on. It's particularly useful for if you're doing things like long skirts or skirts that are A-line that will flow out. But where we don't want to do that, we can just sketch in our hand. And I'm not complicating it too much in terms of thinking fingers and hand positions at this point. Again, you want to make sure here that your arm fits within your sleeve. Then you want to think about details like, are the trousers zip fronted or are they side zipped? Are they just stretchy leggings so there's no zip stall? I'm going to do these as little capri leggings. And again, this knee's bent, so we've got foreshortening happening. So this legging here would actually be drawn longer. And you can either choose to leave the feet plain, or you can put boots on, or you can put some pretty sandals. Okay, that's our first outfit roughed out. Now this is a back view, so I'm going to work on this one next. And we could do an alternative colourway for the outfit or change some details. So in this one we could choose to put the leggings to the front. This is a handy way of revealing any detailing that might be missed by this layout. So it could be that we're adding in a belt, contrasting elastic, and we can even do an alternate length. This time we're going to tuck our top inside, so it's going to sit within that belt. And perhaps this variation will be that we're going to just have it as a alternate. Again, work out the middle and draw a circle. Don't forget your template is just a guide, so if you want to embellish it in your own way in terms of her positioning or figure dimensions, you can do. And finally move our back view, we might have some detailing on the back of the leggings. And again, might get some creasing coming across the back here. And then your back, your neckline will be much higher. So we might have a pocket detail just here. I'm just going to draw a little kitten here on from it. And just think about how this angle will change as her foot moves. I'm going to change it slightly. I want to have it so that we have a nice view of her here. Then you're going to map out the ankle. Finish up the leg. Okay. Now with the back view, I'm just going to rough in one side of her neck for now. Any questions so far?
No, so good. So far, so good.
Okay. So you may have noticed I've got a collection of erasers on my desk, and I'm going to take this time just to explain the differences between them. So this is a normal office rubber that you would get. Mine's in pretty dirty shape, but well used. And that's good for picking out highlights in shaded areas. We have a plastic rubber here, and this one doesn't shed very much when you're erasing, so if you're doing a lot of erasing for line work, these are good rubbers to use. I then have a putty rubber. Now the advantage of using one of these is that you can actually shape it to the shape that you need it to be. So if you need it to go to a point, you can mould it into the point. Likewise, you can round it off to do subtle areas of highlighting, and you can also vary how much you rub out. They arrive like this, they don't stay looking like that for very long. And this is the sort of rubber that you should be avoiding. Anything with a strong colour could transfer to your work, so let the children use them, keep them away. So I'm going to go back and just map in the hands and the arms. Then I'm just going to draw in the lower parts of the front faces. And then we can add in some hair. So, the quickest way to do this is to add a fringe. Then we can use the top of our face shape to actually indicate where our hair grows from. And then you can decide how long you want it to be, if you want it to be curly, wavy. You could go for a short, straight bob. And then with our view from the back, we can actually do it so as our hair comes down, we can actually trail it over a shoulder. Okay, and then we can move on to inking. So I'm going to be using some fine liners from Kuretake. You can get these on our website, which is plannercraft.uk, and I'm sure Ian can pop up the link for those in a minute. And I'm going to be using the fine brush. Now, if you haven't done a lot of inking before, I would advise that you actually use one of the technical pens, so in other words a 0.3, 0.5, and that gives you a fairly static line. So if I just, has a little tip that you can just go straight to paper with, and that will give you an accurate 0.3 line. Now also in the set you have two brushes, a fine and a medium. This is the fine brush and it is extraordinarily small. You'll probably look at it and think, well, that's not a brush at all, but it is. So the line that you're going to get with this will vary depending on the pressure and the angle that you're holding the pen at. It's a good idea to practice with this before you get started on your main illustration. So always have a little piece of scrap paper to the side so that you can just test the line out before you draw it. So where we've got areas of shadow is where my line is going to be thickest, and where we've got highlights, that's where it's going to be thinnest. And you can even skip bits out of the line. So like here where you've got no that actually tucks underneath, we can use the weight of the line to suggest that. So we've got a thin line here that's then going to go into a thicker line and then back into a thin line. And again we've got area shadow, so just give it a little press down there and then draw that line up and over. Can everybody see that okay? So again on the corner of the shoulder, that's where the light's going to hit, so you're going to want a nice thin line into a thicker line lower down. Now here we're going to have a thick line because we're going from a shaded area to light area, and then we can just use a slightly stronger pressure fading out to show the shadows in the fabric. And again, just press there and press there. And then I'm going to draw that line to that point. And again, we've got a shaded area leading into a highlight area. All the time you want to be thinking about where your light's coming from, how it's hitting the fabric, what fabric you're using. So my light's coming from this side, so I'm going to thicken up this line here. Don't be worried about going back over the line if you need to. Okay. then because we're back to where the light's hitting, we're going to go back to a thinner line on that bit. And again, we're going to start heading back into the shade. The line is going to get a little bit thicker. So I'm just using my brush just to add a few more details into areas like the hair. And then we can go back with a 0.03 for any really fine detail that we want to add. So I'll move on to the next sketch.
Is there any particular order you do them in?
I always go the two fronts first and then the back view. It just makes it a bit easier for not smudging.
Not a good use for a piece of card as well, otherwise put it over the top.
Yep, so piece of copy of paper, anything that's going to basically stop your hand from picking up the ink or pencil and smudging it across your work is a good idea. Okay. You're going to want to follow that same procedure all the way around your drawing. That gives you the basic idea. Just for the sake of speed tonight, I'm going to concentrate mainly on this top drawing But if you do have any questions about how I would work on the rest of the drawing, then please put them in the box and I can add them as I go along and just do little areas. So now that I've inked that and I've let it dry a bit, I'm just going to rub out my construction lines underneath. I will pop on the finished illustration on Instagram tomorrow so you can see the completed layout. Okay, so then we want to look at the fabrics that we want to use. Now this outfit is very casual, so we're going to be looking at cottons which are quite a flat colour, so we're going to have to give it a bit more detail to really be able to use all the products that we've got today. So I'm going to give my t-shirt a little bit of a design. I'm going to add a touch of sparkle, and then I'm also going to add some details to these leggings as well. So I'm going to start off by adding a little lacy panel down the side. So I'm just going to sketch the area out first, so that we get the shape right. And then I'm going to add a little something over here. So I'm just going to do some little squiggles just to give me an idea of where I'm heading. And then we can go back in either with our fine brush, or we can use our 0.03. If you do have any questions, just pop them in the box. Yeah, in the live chat. So I'm going to start off with one line, and then I'm going to add in a little stitching detail just up the side. So this will be indicating if we're using a contrasting thread. We can then go back in with a lovely squiggly pattern to indicate the fact that we're using lace. and over on this side. We can start to add a bit more bold pattern and detailing.
Not a bit closer when you don't. Not a bit closer when you don't. It's not very clear.
Can do. So, if I just hold that a bit closer for you to see. So you can see we've done really fine squiggles up here, and then we've gone and done some more detailed scroll work in here, because we can then do that in a contrasting colour. And I've sketched my little design on my t-shirt ready. So again, I'm going to go back in with my 003 and I want to outline my design. Using the lightest touch just to take away that pencil line without smudging my outline. Okay, then I'm going to go to my clean colour brushes, but you could also use alcohol markers for this step. And I'm going to use two colours, the and the oatmeal, and I'm going to use a tip to tip technique. So taking the polar brush, I'm going to sweep some colour off the dark brush. We can then use this to shade with. So again, go back in and a little bit more detail. And where we need our darkest shadows, we can go direct to paper with our darker brush. So obviously if the light's coming this way, our shadow's going to be and we also want to suggest actual features of the face. And then we can use our lighter colour just to push it down. Again, we're going to go in much darker on the neck to make the face pop out a bit. So we can use shadow colour. Airy pop pattern. Go back in with our now a mid-tone colour. Just to blend it into the shadow. And finally we can blend it out with the pale pink. Remember, you aren't looking for a perfectly rounded face at this point. That's one for later in the week. So, again, thinking about where our shadow is going to fall. We might just catch the light on this side of the arm here.
Oh.
Okay. I'm just going to pop a bit of that darker colour just down here, just to make this foot arc back in a bit. Blend it out with our ice colour for the main part of the foot. And the same on this side. So, dark colour here. And because our light's also being cut out on this side a bit, we can put it down on that edge. And use our lighter brush down that centre part of that foot. Just blend it out. Go. When you're using the tip-to-tip technique, you don't have to worry that you're going to damage the brushes. The whole point of clean colour is that the colour will go back to normal. You just need to keep just swiping it on a spare sheet of paper. So for our love design, I'm going to use the Scarlet Red, which is number 23, and the dark pink, which is number 27. That one will vary in the FB range to I believe it's 240. So I'm going to again go tip to tip. And you should be able to see this much clearer on this one. So, literally just going to take the ink across our bristles so you end up with a little tip of pink on it. And then we can, as you use a pen, you'll find that it will blend back to its orange colour. So you're just going to want to go for a bit more, just to go up into this area. A bit more. And then as you pull that colour down, you'll notice it goes back to its lighter colour. Do you get a little halo? Just put it in carefully. Okay. Just going to add a little bit of dark paper because this area is going to be slightly more in shadow. There we go. we can then use the same brush to do our detailing on our trousers. And again, you want to think where the top is. You're going to want to put in a little touch of that dark pink. And you're probably going to want to do this section by section. This helps keep it a little bit easy to blend. Because it's coming around to the side here, I'm just going to pop a little bit more of that shadow colour and just blend it back in. Just want to help give the object some form. Again, we're going in with the darker colour where the shadow falls the strongest. And we can blend it back out with our lighter colour. And then where we need a contrast colour, we can take our darker colour all over. And then swipe it over the top of our lighter colour. Now that we know our outline is well and truly dry, we can take our same fresh colours and go over the top. Get the right one. So the pale pink and the oatmeal. So just going to pop that down the outside and blend it. You're going to want to do this first before we then apply the lace colour over the top. And again, we can go in with our darker shade in the absolute darkest areas of our flesh tones. And blend it out. Then we're going to be heading into the dark area down here. Okay, so I'm going to be using for this next step the dark deep blue, which is number 35, and a water brush. Now, because we want to give our illustration some form, you're not going to go straight all over with your dark colour. So, to make life easier for yourself, start off by scribbling a bit of colour on a splodge mat, or you could use a piece of acetate or anything that is non-porous. And I'm going to start with our water brush and just add a light wash that we can then go back over. So when you do this, you want to think about the form of the female body underneath the leggings. So you're going to want to divide it into sections to make your life easier. Because you're going to want to work with this while it's still wet. So we now have a all over base colour. We can then start to touch in directly in the areas with the most shadow. And then I'm going to want to blend this back in. Okay. So again, if you end up with bits of white halo, just darken it down where you need to. And we can add in little details like the shading under the knee. Just use our water brush to fade those back out. Again, we've got a little bit of a dip in the knee there. So we can stick that colour. And up here it would be nice and dark again because we've got our t-shirt over the top, and also we've got the light being blocked out by this arm. And up here, because it tucks around and underneath, we can put in another area of darkness there. Okay, and then we can work on this section. So again, going to take some more colour in our brush. It really doesn't matter which way around you apply your base colour. Maybe go top to bottom or bottom to top. Okay, and again, just blend in the areas of darkness here. You want to make the right hand leg come forward with the left, so you're going to want to deepen this area here quite a bit to make it look like it's coming forward. And again, because the light's coming this way, you're also going to want to deepen the shadow down this side of the leg. And underneath the knee. Bear in mind where your clean colour is, it will reactivate with water, so you want to go really careful. You can always use a microfiber cloth just to dab so the colour doesn't run too much. you do find your water brush starts to get too wet, you can always blot it off on microfiber towel as well as getting off any excess ink. I'm just going to blot it dry a bit because it's got a little bit too much water on it for what we need. And we can just get back in with our clean colour just to touch it up and make those colours pop a bit more there. Okay. Let's clean the water brush off before continuing so that we don't stain the brush. So to do that, just pop it on some cloth until you can see there's no ink left in there. And take some, let's get the right one, Winky Star, and I'm going to pop that over the top of my design here so that we have just a pop of sparkle. As well as on our main design. And because, let's face it, every girl's got to have a pair of sparkly jeans, I'm going to use my gel pen. Find it. There we go. Just going to prime it on a bit of spare paper over the top of the dark patch of good so you can see that it's working fully. And I'm just going to use this just to add some dots of colour on. Just to show that we have some sparkles. You can also use our darker colour to counteract that, so it looks like we've got some shading from some sequins. Okay, and that's it for today's broadcast, and I will pop up a finished version of this onto Instagram shortly. Don't forget to like the video and share it, and subscribe to hear when we next go live, which will be 8 o'clock tomorrow, when we are doing some fashion art journaling. Bye!